What's up, Tsla family? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with SPY, Tesla, and the broader markets. Just know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I'm saying as financial advice. Looking at Tesla stock, we're bouncing right now as we had some bullish news that came out from Elon Musk. And we are looking quite solid right now. I think we're favoring the low 400s. 402.94 is very possible alongside a test of this upper trend line. However, I do want to warn you guys to be careful simultaneously because there is a big gap below. And if Tesla ends up losing 397.5, we could be dipping to 393 to fill this gap. So for now, I think Tesla tries to push. I think the market may attempt to pump a little bit more, but then we're going to see if we get some kind of rejection. So why is the market gapping up? First and foremost, the overall market as a whole is gapping up. Then we also had some news that came out for Tesla. Elon Musk said that most people don't really know that Tesla has had an advanced AI chip and boarding engineering team for many years. And the team has already designed and deployed several million AI chips in our cars and data centers. These chips are what enable Tesla to be the leader in real world AI. So I made that very clear that Tesla has been developing the new chip. They're working on AI 5 and they're close to once again unleashing that. And then AI 6 will be coming up next, hopefully within a year. And they're working to mass produce these chips for volume production, which is going to help them in a lot of different ways with AI learning. It's a very, very overlooked aspect of Tesla. And Elon Musk is telling us that Tesla is working on their own chip design teams to continue to develop self driving technology, real world AI, develop optimists to use it for many different things. That's a great piece of news with the new potential chip that's coming out. AI 5 is making lots of progress. Great news for Tesla thus far. That's part of why we're pushing. Also, let me just note that ES, SPY, and the QQQ are all attempting to pump right now. Although we are testing some tough resistance, we're going to try to push and we're going to be watching to see if this move continues. Why is the market pushing? Well, there's many different reasons. One reason is that there are a lot of negotiations going on right now between Ukraine and Russia. As we're starting to see more potential changes coming to the overall deal, which could kind of like reduce sanctions on Russia and kind of like affect gas prices, for example. And simultaneously, there's been a lot of optimism coming out from the Fed. Where we have Williams, for example, who came out and talked about how he wants to see the Fed cut. And with the data that just came out, the Fed is now leaning a little bit more in favor of that. There's now like a 75.7% chance of us getting a cut in December. So it looks like we're going to most likely get a cut, but we will see depending on the data that comes out. Besides that, today is Monday, November 24th, 2025. At 10:30 a.m., we have the Dallas Fed Manufacturing Index. At 11:30 a.m., we have the 3 and 6 month bill auctions, and that's pretty much it. So we'll see what happens as time goes on. Then for Tuesday, we basically have the ADP employment change, and then we have PPI data also coming out before market open on Tuesday, alongside some data from the Richmond Fed. Besides that, on Wednesday, we have initial jobless claims and some minor data, but nothing else that's way too crazy. Just as a reminder, it's going to be a very, very short week. We only have 3.5 days of trading, meaning Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, the stock market's going to be open. But for Thursday, the stock market will be closed for Thanksgiving. And then on Friday, it's only half a day with an early closure. So 3 full days and half a day is all we have for the week. So, we have to just watch what the market has to offer while it lasts. Besides that, this is what the earnings calendar looks like. There's not really much coming out. And then more news about the markets. Once again, there's more hope for another interest rate cut, which is helping the market push more. Also, some more good news came out from the Treasury Secretary yesterday, where he acknowledged some sectors are feeling economic pressure, but at the same time, he believes the U.S. will not be entering a recession next year. We heard that from Scott Bessent. Once again, more bullish news. So, what do I see for Tesla? We're pumping right now. As long as we don't lose 397, we're favoring 403, then eventually this resistance around 406, right up about around this trend line. So I think we're favoring some upside for the low 400s, and then we're going to see if Tesla could continue to break out. If we get above like 417 specifically, that's going to be more bullish. But if we can't, what's very likely is that we kind of push a bit, then we reject and turn right back down off this upper trend line. One thing to mention is that Tesla's been trading in a channel. So as we hit the upper trend line, we do like to reject off of it. At the lower trend line, we like to bounce. So I would say just play the price action in front of you as we're looking a bit more bullish. As long as Tesla does not lose 397, we're favoring 403 next. Eventually close to like 406, which is where this upper trend line happens to be. And then we're going to see if we reject near 406. So watch resistance right over there near 403 and 406. But look for upside temporarily on Tesla, and we'll see how well we hold up. So watch and see if we reject off this trend line or not. But for now, we're looking for some temporary upside. For SPY, I'm seeing something very similar. SPY is trying to hold above its resistance at 662.94. If that holds, we're looking for 665, then 668 as our targets. As of right now, we're favoring upside. As long as we don't lose 660, we're favoring 665, then 668, and then we will see if we reject off this trend line or not. There is going to be an overnight gap, but keep in mind that we're also in a channel just like Tesla. SPY has a similar setup. As we hit this upper trend line, we like to reject. So for now, we're favoring a temporary bounce. On the QQQ, the same thing is going on. We're in this like megaphone like pattern. This upper trend line is resistance, and this is lower trend line is acting as support. And as you can tell, we're bouncing. So I want to see us break 597.4. If that breaks, we're looking for 600 and 603 as our targets. And if we end up losing 590, it's going to be bearish, but I'm favoring 597 and eventually the low 600s as our potential targets. And we're going to see if we kind of like turn back down from there or not. So look for some upside potential closer to 600. On the IWM, as long as you don't lose 235, we're going to be favoring 237.5, then eventually 240. I think there's a good chance we try to go a little bit higher, so watch and see if you reject, but there is some upside potential, at least for now. On ES, as long as we don't end up losing basically 6,600, we're also favoring 6,698 as our target, closer to 6,700, and basically 6,748. So I favor upside for like the 6,700 on ES. On NQ, so long as we don't end up losing 24,000, 300, we're looking bullish. We have 24,500 as resistance alongside 24,832. We're favoring upside, and we'll see if you reject or not, but there is potential in this. I want to see Bitcoin reclaim 86,500 to bounce. If we don't, we could be dipping lower. It's showing some weakness, so it could retest 85,500. I'll see if we bounce off that or not. On Tesla, we could be looking for 402 as our target as we temporarily push. As long as we don't lose 397, like I said before, we're looking for, 402.98, which is basically 403 is our resistance, and then basically 405. So we're favoring upside on Tesla. Nvda is consolidating. It's not really bullish or bearish. We do have resistance to watch for around 183 and support down at 178, but I think we consolidate and kind of push a little bit for like 183. But for the most part, it's trading sideways. Aapl had an inverse head and shoulders like pattern. It's technically in a big range. Aapl likes to reject near 277. It likes to bounce near 265. As long as we don't lose 269, we're going to be favoring an attempt to push back up to 275. On Palantir, as long as we don't lose 153, we're going to be favoring 162. On AMD, we're favoring upside, especially as we have this nice wick over here. So we could be favoring an attempt to push for like 210 and then 218. Coinbase, we're looking a bit more bullish. We have a nice looking accumulation right over here. Now we could dip back down to 242 before it tries to bounce back up for like 250, but overall there is upside potential. On Amazon, if we lose 220, we're going to be turning back down, but we have resistance to watch for a 224.5 and basically 226, favoring some upside. Meta looks a bit more bullish. As long as we don't lose 597, we're going to be favoring the low 600s, like 605 plus. Google's favoring 315 and eventually 320. As long as we don't lose 305 to fill the gap back down here, we're favoring upside. And then Microsoft also has a nice accumulation. As long as we don't end up losing essentially 470, we're going to be favoring a push for 478 for more upside. And finally, the VIX is looking bearish, favoring 21.5. So we'll see what happens as time goes on. But this is looking a little bit weaker, and I think this temporarily dips. Temporarily, I think the market goes higher. SPY, the QQQ could push more. And I think that this is going to have a positive effect on Tesla as Tesla follows the trend. And also thanks to the positive news that Elon Musk was talking about with the new AI chip that Tesla's been working on. I think we see the low 400s around 403, then potentially even like 406-ish, which is where this upper trend line happens to be. But be careful. I do want to recommend watching resistance because the upper trend line is going to be a little bit tough to break, and we still have a gap below to fill. So we could pump and dump on Tesla. So keep that in mind. Anyways, that's it for this one. Thank you for listening, and peace out.